My stomach's actually starting to go a bit funny thinking about this.
This all feels quite grim.
Good ranking, sir.
Good ranking, sir.
You're all right, mate.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Planet Beer TV. I'm Paul.
And I'm Chris.
And it's January.
It is. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you all. And it's the first video recording in 2025. And Chris, what does January mean to you?
January is usually the month of abstinence. It's the time when people lay off the booze a little bit after that heavy festive period. And well, it's also a time when craft beer breweries tend to show off what they've been learning throughout the year in terms of making some fantastic low and no alcohol beer.
And there are some amazing breweries doing fantastic low and no alcohol beers. And you know, this would be the perfect opportunity to showcase some of those beers.
But
we don't want to do that.
No.
Because we're contrarians.
Yeah, ever the contrarians, we think that we've got something that is pretty much the polar opposite to top 5 hop waters.
The total antithesis. What are we doing today, Chris?
Today, Paul, we are going to be drinking the world's strongest beer. Oh, so there it is, Paul. The world's strongest beer. Just look at it.
I'll be honest with you, Chris, I'm getting quite nervous about this.
It's the weird little warning label.
The warning label doesn't now, but what is this?
So this is a beer called Baytherfire, or Scottish Baytherfire, and it's by a brewery which, frankly, I've never heard of, called 88 Brewery.
We can't find anything on them other than they exist.
Yeah, I've done a bit of digging on Company's House, but we'll come back to that in a bit.
Okay, so how strong is this?
So this beer is 75%, and yeah, frankly, I'm not really sure what to expect with it, but there's a lot made of the side of it. The little blurb really tries to, like, you know, jazz it up a little bit, give it a bit of a marketing spin.
It's got its own mythos.
Yes. So through the mists of time in ancient Scotland, a legend was born of the deepest water and the purest fire. Too fear for its native land, it broke free and was unleashed upon the world. In the form of a beer. Hope lies in one strong enough to tame the Baytherfire.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so it's all a bit dramatic, but there is also some you know, information on the brewery on the side as well, so we know that it at least has a registered address. But yeah.
Oh, it's perfectly above board, I'm sure.
Yeah. And interestingly, the beer is good for 100 years. It's got a shelf life of 100 years. So
it's ridiculous because 75% is stronger than most cask whiskey.
Yeah.
In fact, all cask whiskey, really.
We are recording this in the Hop Vault, which is renowned for its whiskey selection, including strong cask whiskies, and none of that even touches the sides.
Yeah, it's really interesting as well. So I was really intrigued to know what goes into making a beer of this strength, and what the processes are, which we'll touch on in a bit. But I was looking at the ingredients here. Chris, what do you think the ingredients are in a 75% Scotch ale?
Hops, water, malt, yeast.
Yeah, sure. But they've narrowed that down for you, and they've said the ingredients in here are beer and ethanol.
So just ethanol.
Which again is not helping my nerves.
So originally I wanted to talk a bit about freeze distillation in this, because that is typically how breweries make beers ridiculous strengths.
Yeah.
But that suggests that this hasn't even been freeze distilled. This has just been fortified.
Yeah, well, it's
like port.
So we were looking at the process around this beer in particular, and actually the information that we did find is contrarian itself, and there's a lot of sort of mixed messages we're getting on this beer, so I don't know what's true, but apparently once this was fermented, it was filtered another 3 times after the fact to get rid of all the impurities, and that's what you get here. So it isn't freeze distilled, it's its own thing.
Yeah.
Like, I guess like a more in line with whiskey distillation, but whether it passes muster in any way, shape or form as a beer,
I guess we're going to find out.
I think is going to be the crux of this ridiculous video. Now, the thing about this beer is it actually comes with a warning, as Chris pointed out earlier on here, where it says, this beer is strong. Do not exceed 35 milliliters in one sitting. So it's advising you to stick to whiskey measures.
How are we going to do
don't you worry about that, my friend, because I've got this little device.
Oh God, it's looking more and more like a science experiment as we go along.
Well, as you said, we're in the Hop Vault, and they've got all the whiskey apparatus behind the counter.
That's
so
for cocktails as well. Yeah.
It's for cocktails as well. So it's a measuring device. So I'm going to pour out.
Jesus
Holy
Christ, that looked a lot.
I was expecting some kind of body to that, but it just came out like pure alcohol.
I mean, Carbonation, nada.
Nothing going on here. Oh my
That
gosh.
looks a bit much, man.
I'm just going to go 30, Chris, because quite frankly, this looks revolting.
Yeah, so we're going with the whiskey glassware because that seemed most apt, to be honest.
And apparently, you know, the few people who have tried this beer are all drinking out of whiskey glasses.
Yeah.
By the looks of it, on Untapped and some of the social stuff we found. So 30 millilitres of borderline pure ethanol.
My stomach's actually starting to go a bit
I know.
funny thinking about this.
This all feels quite grim.
Oh no. We should caveat that it's like 11 o'clock in the morning.
Good point. It's Saturday morning. It's just got 11. This is our breakfast.
Yeah. Scottish breakfast.
Yeah. Right.
Right then, so let's...
How are we feeling?
yeah, I don't want to do this.
No.
Let's give it a little swirl. Right, well, first look at the body on that. It basically looks like cheap whiskey.
It looks like cheap whiskey.
There's absolutely zero carbonation, zero head, zero anything.
No.
It
It's
doesn't
just
look
liquid.
like beer. It looks like a spirit.
Should we have a smell?
Yep. Good ranking.
Oh my God.
Fuck me.
Oh God.
It smells like nail polish.
It smells like pure alcohol.
It smells very much like nail polish, or even nail polish remover. I'm not sure if it's nail polish or nail polish remover. It's one of the two.
Either way, I think I'd rather drink either one of those.
Fuck.
Oh, this is grim.
I just cleared my nose out.
I had a little bit of a cold this week, but that's just absolutely cleared my head out. Should we go for it?
We're going to do this like a whiskey, right? We're
just literally going to be a sip. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not doing
We're
this.
not smashing this back.
Right, good ranking, sir.
Good ranking, sir.
Happy New Year.
Good luck.
Fucking hell. Oh, God.
Oh God,
That was a bit too much.
that was horrible.
I heaved.
It's got okay.
Actually heaved. Fuck me.
Oh, that was fucking awful. What's your first opinions on that? When your face is painting
I want it to
1,000
die.
words. If
I
that
want it,
makes sense.
honestly, I want it to die.
It's the worst thing I've ever drank. Once the initial alcohol burn has worn off and you can feel your tongue again,
I still can't feel my tongue. I think I had too much.
yeah, you've just got to literally lick it. That's what she said. Once the initial burn has started to subside, you get there's a bit of fruity character in the background, or I guess dark fruits if you want to go down that route. But it's almost irrelevant because that's just pure alcohol burn.
It's sweeter than I was expecting. I think I was going to be expecting it to be quite just horrible hop bitterness, and it isn't that. What hops are in this? You said beer, but what?
Well, funnily enough, I couldn't find anything about this beer in that regard until I forgot to look on Untapped, and I went on Untapped, and it's actually got a little bit more detail of that beer. You're right, mate.
That is disgusting.
It is the worst thing. So here's what I got. So it's the world's strongest beer at 75%, as we know, created to be consumed like a fine cask strength whiskey. Understood that it's been created to be consumed that way, but any comparisons to fine whiskey stops there because there's no comparison there. That's just grim. But the hops used include Northern Brewer, Chinook,
Okay.
and Brambling Cross. So,
Brambling Cross doesn't get much of a run out, does it?
I mean, I think the hops are slightly irrelevant in this case because they're just being dominated.
Yeah. I mean, my tongue's come back now. So shall we see if we're more acclimatized to it now?
I wonder if it just needs to breathe a little bit as well, get rid of the kind of initial burn.
Maybe.
But
All that ethanol.
yeah, it's not quite as aggressive on the second try, but it's still fucking horrible.
Oh, there's something in it.
It feels like it feels a little bit like sticking your tongue on a 9-volt battery.
Yeah.
You look.
Yeah.
Oh,
I honestly, I really find that repulsive. I'm not sure I can even. I'm gonna try, but it tastes like molten haggis shat from the devil's bunghole.
Yeah, I feel flammable. It's like when Braveheart came back from one of his fights and he's got those toweling boots on wrapped around it with twine, and he's got them out. He's all sweaty after a long battle, and he's rinsed it all out, and all the sweat's come out into a bowl, and then he's just thrown up in it, and then drank it, and then pissed it out, and that's what this is. This is a convoluted way of saying this is not a good beer. In fact, I wouldn't call it a beer.
It's not beer, it's not whiskey, it's some weird, like, bastard machination in between.
That takes the worst elements of both of those things somehow.
Yeah, it does. It tastes like James Watt's opinions on work-life balance.
Yeah, what a... There's not much more to be said about this other than I think this is a marketing gimmick at best.
So, yeah, I mean, I looked up 88 Brewery.
Yep.
Couldn't find, they don't have a website.
Mm-hmm.
The website is literally just the beer website.
Mm-hmm.
That's all they've done.
Yep.
From everything else I can see, they don't have any other beers. They only have this. I looked up 88 Brewery on Company's House because I was like, just trying to find some details. And 3 people are attached to it. Mm-hmm. And this is all public knowledge, everyone can go and do this. And I was expecting to perhaps find maybe someone with like a brewing background or something like that, but nah. There's a couple of consultants.
Yep.
And a marketing guy.
Andrew Chapman is the CEO, apparently.
Yes, but what I did find interesting is originally how we came about this beer was we got sent a link to a beer by Brewmeister called Snake Venom.
That's right, yeah.
Purports to be the strongest beer in the world. I think it's like 67.5%. So Brewmeister, I think they're now called Keith Brewery.
Okay.
And Andrew Chapman, I think, or one of the guys that originally started 88 Brewery, was originally a founder or an MD of Keith Brewery. And is now no longer there. So I think maybe there's a bit of competition in terms of, you know, Snake Venom was originally the world's strongest beer. He's left that company now, or that brewery, and he's decided to set up and make the real world's strongest beer. So maybe that's it. But I mean, yeah, who knows?
I mean, it's fucking awful.
I suppose we could also say that we could have reached out to them and just probably got the full story. But actually, I think sowing a bit of mystery, disinformation, and just it adds to its legend, doesn't it?
It does add to the legend because I think that's what it's got going for it.
The other thing with this, Paul, is the fact that we came here to the Hot Vault because it cost £45.
Jesus!
It's a 330ml bottle that tells you that you should only have a small amount of it, and you can't reseal it.
Good point, right? It's a good point. So it said on the back here as well, the UK Chief Medical Officers recommend that adults do not exceed 14 units per week. Sensible advice. The units in this bottle alone are 24.8, which means you could only drink about half of this in a week before you've hit your quota.
I just burped and I could taste it.
Don't light it. So, yeah, you know, £45 bottle of beer. We've opened it. It's got to be tried. We're in a bar.
Should go and see if anyone else wants to try it.
Let's wrap this up by seeing who wants to try it and see if we can get some priceless reactions. Do you want to try the world's strongest beer?
Ooh, it's nail polish removal, like terps or something. Right.
Go on.
It's
Fuck! Christ. It tastes like nail polish remover. Fuck off. No.
It's like if Mike Tyson was at the back of my throat, just giving it digs. Yeah, I don't want to finish that.
That's basically just fire and water, isn't it?
How much do they sell this for?
45 please.
I reckon I could sell that to a few idiots, innit?